Have you ever found yourself in the quiet of the night, bathed in the pale glow of your phone screen, rereading a conversation that should have long been forgotten? Have you stared at the same text thread, scrolling endlessly, searching between the lines, hoping to extract some hidden meaning that might prove just maybe that you mattered? And then, like a slow, creeping fog, a profound, bone-deep weariness settles into your bones. It's not just fatigue, it's a spiritual exhaustion, an ache that vibrates through your soul, echoing with one heavy, undeniable question: why am I always the one trying? I want you to sit with that question not as a fleeting pang of frustration, but as a sacred inquiry, a mirror held up to your spirit. Think of the countless moments you've reached out first, the tentative, just checking in messages, the careful, hope you're okay texts, the hopeful emojis meant to reignite a dying connection. You are the one who sends the olive branches, who painstakingly stitches the threads of connection together when they begin to fray. You're the one who offers the first apology, even when your heart screams that you were not the one at fault. All because peace feels more important than being right. You find yourself bending, contorting, reshaping yourself into countless versions that are quieter, more agreeable, less demanding, just to prevent someone from leaving, just to convince them to stay. It's a soul-crushing dance, one that leaves you spinning in circles, dizzy with effort, yet no closer to the love or respect you deserve. Like a chameleon, you change your colors, adapt to their moods, hoping that if you can just become the right shade, this time you will be enough. But my love, this relentless striving, this chronic overfunctioning in relationships is not a testament to your strength. It is a spiritual alarm bell, an awakening. It is the universe tapping gently, then insistently, on your shoulder, reminding you that your energy is sacred and not every hand deserves to hold it. If these words touch a tender place within you, if you feel like I've just spoken your unspoken truth, know that you are seen. This space is your sanctuary. Let us know in the comments that you're here, that you're waking up to this truth. Simply write, "I resonate," or "I'm reclaiming my energy." Like this message, subscribe for deeper guidance, and know that your spirit has led you here for a reason. You are being called back home to yourself. The universe whispers to us in countless ways, but there is no whisper louder than the ache of the chase. And yet, the most insidious part of this dynamic is that we often don't even recognize we're running until we're utterly spent. We call it many things, dressing it up in noble language to disguise our fear of letting go. We tell ourselves we're loyal, steadfast, committed. "I'm just someone who doesn't give up easily," you whisper to yourself, clutching onto connections that drain you, mistaking tenacity for love. You wear your patience like a badge of honor, even as it quietly erodes your boundaries. Sometimes, the chase masquerades as emotional maturity, the role of the bigger person. So, you swallow your hurt. You tell yourself you're practicing grace, that you're being evolved by forgiving transgressions that chip away at your spirit. You rationalize that relationships take work, and so you work tirelessly, relentlessly, investing all your emotional capital into a partnership, a friendship, a connection that remains bankrupt. You tell yourself love requires labor, and so you toil, watering a garden that refuses to bloom, hoping that if you just pour enough of yourself into it, it will eventually flourish. But beneath these noble masks, your soul knows the truth. Deep in your bones, you feel the fatigue of chasing. You are running a marathon for a prize that was never meant to be yours, for people who don't even remember signing up for the race. The most heartbreaking truth is this: the chase isn't born from love. It is born from fear, the primal terror that if you stop, if you let the silence linger, the connection will die. And what's more haunting than loss? The fear that the only reason anything exists between you and them is because you are the one endlessly pumping air into the deflated balloon of the relationship. You dread that if you let go, all that remains will be the unbearable proof that it was never mutual, that it was always you, and only you, holding the threads together. We live in a world that teaches us that surrender is failure, that letting go is weakness, that detachment is giving up. You've been conditioned to believe that if you truly want something or someone, you must fight for it, cling to it, prove yourself worthy through perseverance. But what if that programming is not only flawed but spiritually destructive? What if the truth is the opposite? What if your true power lies not in holding on, but in the radical, liberating act of release? What if surrender is not defeat, but the ultimate expression of trust? Trust in the universe, trust in divine timing, trust in your own worth. The truth is, the chase bleeds you dry in ways you can't fully see until you step away. It is a slow, insidious leak of your life force. You lose time hours, days, even years spent decoding messages, overanalyzing actions, rehashing conversations in your mind. You lose self-respect each ignored message, every broken promise you swallow, each boundary you betray teaches your soul that your needs are secondary. You lose clarity caught in the fog of longing and anxiety. Your intuition is muffled, your internal compass spinning aimlessly. Most tragically, you lose sight of what is truly meant for you. The universe may be placing blessings directly in your path, aligned opportunities, soul-deep connections waiting patiently, but you're too busy chasing after what's fleeing to even notice. Imagine all the beauty, all the love, all the abundance that is trying to reach you while your gaze is locked on the rearview mirror of your longing. You cannot receive what's for you when your hands are still desperately clutching what isn't. When you are ensnared in the endless pursuit, your perception of love, connection, and worth becomes dangerously distorted. Your soul, starved for genuine intimacy, starts mistaking breadcrumbs for a feast. A fleeting text, a lukewarm compliment, an occasional show of attention they feel monumental, like proof that you matter, even though your spirit knows better. You begin romanticizing inconsistency, turning their indifference into an enigma you're determined to solve. Their emotional distance becomes a challenge, a riddle that you must crack to finally earn their affection. You convince yourself that if you just say the right thing, love them the right way, tolerate just a little more, you'll finally unlock their heart. But here's the sacred, gut-punching truth. Love is not a puzzle. Connection is not a prize to be won through endurance. What is divinely yours will not need to be chased. What is meant for you will come with an energy of ease, not that it will be devoid of effort, but it will be mutual, reciprocal, flowing. It will feel like breathing, not like gasping for air. True alignment won't leave you feeling depleted. It will nourish you, elevate you. It will meet you where you are, not where you have to contort yourself to be. Real love, real connection, feels like a homecoming, not a battleground. It is not chaos disguised as passion. It is peace, safety, and clarity. And yet, none of this can reach you until you stop running, until you have the courage to stand still and let what is rightfully yours find you. So I offer you this, the radical permission to stop chasing, to stop shrinking, to stop apologizing for your needs, your depth, your desire for real soul-deep connection. I want you to understand that letting go is not an act of loss, but a sacred return. A return to your own energy, your own power, your own center. You are not here to prove your worthiness. You are not meant to beg for love or barter for respect. You are a sovereign being, and your energy is a currency far too precious to spend on those who cannot match it. Trust that what is meant for you is already seeking you. Trust that the universe is conspiring in your favor, even when the path looks empty. Trust that your stillness is not a void, but an invitation for alignment, for clarity, for the kind of love that won't require a chase. Breathe. Let yourself rest. And in that rest, let yourself remember, you have always been enough not because you chase, but because you exist. And that, my dear one, is the most powerful truth of all. There is a profound and ancient wisdom from the sage Lao Tzu that encapsulates this entire spiritual lesson. He said, by letting it go, it all gets done. The world is won by those who let it go. But when you try and try, the world is beyond winning. Read that again. Let those words seep into your very being, for they hold the key to your liberation. That single piece of wisdom contains everything your soul has been trying to tell you, everything you've been consciously or unconsciously ignoring. Perhaps, like me and so many others on this path, you have been trying so hard to keep the very things that are trying their hardest to leave. It's a paradox of the human experience. We cling most tightly to that which is not meant for us. We chase people who are emotionally unavailable, hoping to be the one to finally change them. We chase closure from those who are incapable of giving it, believing that one final conversation will heal all our wounds. We chase arbitrary timelines set by society or our own ego, timelines that were never in alignment with our soul's unique journey. I remember a connection in my own life where I was the constant gardener of a barren relationship. I showed up, day after day, with my watering can full of hope, my heart full of effort. I was always the first to check in, to initiate, to plan. I was always giving more than I received, always nurturing a seed that had no intention of growing. And I wrapped it all in a beautiful story of self-deception. They're just busy, I'd tell myself. They're not good at communicating their feelings. Maybe I'm just expecting too much. I made 1,000 excuses for their lack of effort, 1,000 justifications for the imbalance. But deep down, my soul knew. I knew I was chasing. I wasn't being pulled in by their magnetic energy. I was being kept at arm's length, given just enough to keep me hooked, just close enough to keep me from walking away. They were experts at breadcrumbing, and I was starving for a meal. So I let them. I mistook their inconsistency for mystery, believing there was a treasure to be found if I just dug a little deeper. I thought my unwavering loyalty, my sheer persistence would eventually be rewarded, that it would make them see my worth and choose to stay. I was so profoundly wrong. What actually happened? The moment of truth arrived with a deafening silence. The day I finally gathered the courage to stop reaching out, the day my fingers no longer typed that "just checking in" text, they simply disappeared, vanished. There were no questions, no "are you okay?" no acknowledgement of my sudden absence. There was just silence. And in that silence, I found the most painful and beautiful gift: clarity. That silence wasn't abandonment. It was the universe's answer. It was the truth I had been avoiding all along. It showed me with undeniable certainty who was actually choosing me and who was only staying because I wouldn't stop choosing them first. It revealed that the connection was not a bond, but a lifeline that only I was holding. And that is the bitter, liberating truth about the chase. You will never know what is real until you stop running after what is not. You will never know who is meant to walk beside you until you have the courage to stand still. Lao Tzu wasn't advocating for a life of passivity. He was speaking of a higher spiritual principle, the principle of alignment. He was saying, let it come, let it land, let it show you it's meant for you without you having to force it into existence. Because if something needs to be forced, if a connection needs to be constantly managed and manipulated and willed into being, it was never flowing with your soul's current to begin with. You were trying to force a river to flow uphill. So perhaps the greatest lesson is this: you don't lose anything real by letting go. You only lose the illusion that you had to hold it all together for it to stay. You lose the weight of a responsibility that was never yours to carry in the first place. Here's the secret that no one really prepares you for. When you finally stop chasing, and I mean you truly, fully, with every fiber of your being, let go, your life doesn't just get quieter, it starts to become clearer. A fog you didn't even know was there begins to lift. You start to notice all the subtle ways your energy was being drained, things you were too busy chasing to even see. You feel your nervous system, which has been in a state of high alert for months or even years, finally begin to relax. The constant tension in your shoulders eases. You stop rehearsing conversations in your head, planning your next move, anticipating their reaction. You stop stalking their social media, looking for clues, searching for validation in their last seen status. You stop praying to the universe that your worth will finally be recognized, that they will see the light, that they will finally appreciate all you've done. You release the need for them to see you because you are finally starting to see yourself. At first, there's a strange silence, a void. It almost feels like withdrawal. For so long, chasing was your purpose, proving yourself was your default setting, and your mind will ask, now what? But then, something miraculous clicks into place. One day, you wake up, and you're not obsessing over who has or hasn't called. You're not overthinking the tone of your last message. You're not begging the universe to please just make this one work. You are simply present in your own life, in your own energy. And that is the moment you become a magnet. Everything that is meant for you, everything that is in true vibrational alignment with your soul, starts to find its way in. New people arrive, people who match your energy effortlessly, without the need for performance or pretense. Opportunities appear, opportunities that are born from your renewed sense of purpose, not tied to your burnout or your willingness to compromise. Even your own creativity returns, flowing through you now that it is no longer blocked by the dam of your obsession. Your sense of peace rebuilds itself, stronger and more resilient than before. You become magnetic, not because you are trying to be, but precisely because you have finally stopped trying so hard. It's not magic, it's alignment. When you stop chasing, you fundamentally shift your frequency. You are no longer broadcasting a signal of lack and desperation into the universe, a signal that says, I don't believe I deserve this unless I fight, bleed, and suffer for it. Instead, you begin to emit a clear, powerful frequency of wholeness. You are now declaring, silently but with unshakable conviction, I know my worth. I trust that what is mine will find me, without manipulation, without begging, and without pretending. That kind of unshakable inner peace cannot be faked, and the world feels it. Some people won't like it, especially the ones who benefited from your desperation. They will feel the shift and may even try to pull you back into the old dance. But the ones who are meant to stay, the ones who are truly for you, they will show up differently. They will meet you where you are, not where they can use you. And trust me, that version of you, the one that no longer chases, that is someone you are going to fall deeply in love with becoming. Now, I must share a truth that many spiritual guides might not tell you. Even after you've made the conscious decision to stop chasing, even after you've found that initial glimmer of peace, you will be tempted to go back. The path of healing is not a straight line. You will heal just enough to feel strong again, and then, in a moment of weakness or loneliness, you'll catch yourself scrolling through their old photos, wondering if maybe, just maybe, they've changed. You'll hear a song that reminds you of them, and for a fleeting moment, you'll wonder if you should just check in. This is the echo of the old pattern. It's a slow, seductive pull, a whisper in the back of your mind that says, maybe just one more try, but you must hear me now. That voice is not your intuition. It is your wound talking. It is your old conditioning, your familiar pattern of self-abandonment saying, hey, being ignored was painful, but at least it was familiar. And that is the most dangerous place to be, because familiarity is not love, repetition is not growth. You do not owe it to anyone to re-explain your boundaries, to try harder once more, to prove you've changed, only to be treated like an option again. You have already seen who they are when they thought they had you for free. Do not go back there. Do not go chasing ghosts when you are finally learning to breathe again. That old version of you, the one who kept chasing, apologizing, and explaining, the one who was trying to be palatable just to be accepted, that was never the real you. That was your survival mode. That was your please don't leave me voice. But the real you, the one that is emerging now, the one that has stopped chasing, that is your truth. That is your power. Do not trade it in for the temporary comfort of a familiar chaos. That comfort always comes with the long-term cost of your soul's peace. You have come too far to start dancing for breadcrumbs again, because once you taste real peacey, the fragile peace that depends on someone else's mood, but the deep, abiding peace that comes from within you will not want the chaos back. You will realize that true, divine love does not require you to abandon yourself to keep it. And when that realization sinks into the very marrow of your bones, you don't just stop chasing them. You stop chasing versions of yourself that were never built to last. It's wild, isn't it? Even after all the clarity, you will still have moments of doubt, but that's okay. Healing doesn't come with a round of applause. No one throws you a party for finally choosing your own peace. It's just you, alone, learning to trust yourself again. And that doubt isn't a sign that you made the wrong choice. It's a sign that you're shedding an old skin, and it feels unfamiliar. You didn't walk away because you didn't care. You walked away because you finally did. You cared enough about yourself to stop begging to be understood. You cared enough to stop being available for people who only showed up when it was convenient. You cared enough to finally put your time, your energy, and your peace above their confusion. And that is not cold. That is the most profound act of self-respect. You're not missing them. You're missing the version of you who still believed they were going to show up. You're missing the potential you created for them in your mind, not the reality of who they were. And that beautiful, hopeful version of them you kept alive in your head, that was never your responsibility to build in the first place. So breathe, let it go. You're not chasing anymore. You're making room for the kind of life and the kind of love that doesn't require you to shrink just to be seen. You've outgrown it all, and this new version of you moves differently now. You are not the one who begs, you are the one who is, unfiltered, unchased, unapologetically whole. That is not small, that is everything, and that is the beginning of your true life.